Most men think compliments are the key to attraction, but the truth is most compliments don't create attraction. They kill it. They're predictable, overused, and make you seem like every other guy scrambling for her approval. You're beautiful. I love your smile. She's heard them all before. These words don't make you stand out. They make you forgettable. But there are compliments that do the opposite. Compliments so rare, so powerful, they don't just make a woman feel good. They make her see you differently. They challenge, intrigue, and trigger emotions she didn't expect. Rooted in stoic wisdom, psychology, and attraction dynamics that have been used by the most charismatic men in history, these words don't seek validation. They command respect. The difference? Most men use compliments to gain favor, to be liked. But women aren't drawn to men who seek approval. They're drawn to those who don't need it. A compliment spoken with confidence, detachment, and authority changes the way she perceives you instantly. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your mindset is weak, needy, or approval-seeking, it will bleed into your words, and the wrong compliment will expose that weakness. But the right one, it will make her stop, think, and listen.
Compliment 1. Compliment silence.
Few people truly hear the spaces between words. Most men fill conversations like empty rooms, noise without meaning. They chase reactions, not understanding. But you recognize the power of silence. This compliment cuts deeper than flattery. Why it works. Studies on conversational dynamics, University of Michigan 2017, reveal that individuals who practice active listening, pausing, reflecting, waiting, are perceived as 73% more trustworthy. Women, often conditioned to be heard through filters of interruption, crave this rarity. It validates their voice and their pauses. Stoicism teaches us to govern the ear as fiercely as the tongue. When you honor her silence, you mirror inner discipline.
A man who controls his impulses to overspeak.
How to use it. Wait, let her finish a thought, then let the air settle, then speak. I think people fear quiet because it forces them to confront what they're avoiding. Pause, meet her gaze. You listen in a way that makes silence speak. How did you learn to be comfortable with it? You're not coaxing her to unravel. You're showing her the thread she's already holding. Most men rush to relate or fix. You create a vault for her truth. You can start with unraveling some of your own stories, literally anything. The reciprocity of vulnerability. When someone feels deeply heard, they subconsciously associate the listener with safety. Your restraint becomes a mirror for her depth. Stoics called this apatheia, freedom from reactive passion. By mastering your urge to fill voids, you become the calm that draws her storm. Imagine two rivers. One thunders, demanding attention. The other runs still, reflecting the sky. Which pulls you closer? Stillness isn't passive. It's a choice to absorb rather than conquer. Speak this compliment once. Let it linger like incense. She'll dissect it later, in solitude, and find you there, patient, unmoved by cheap thrills. You've shown her the rarest form of respect. You value her mind's quiet corners. Seeing you being comfortable with her is the biggest compliment you can give to her. Compliment 2. I like the way you think. Have you ever watched someone turn turbulence into stillness? Most mistake calm for indifference, but true composure is a rebellion. It's the quiet defiance of choosing peace when chaos demands panic. This compliment isn't about praising her poise. It's about seeing the war she wages to stay anchored. Why it works. A 2020 Cambridge study on emotional regulation found that individuals who maintain steadiness under stress are perceived as 61% more emotionally intelligent. Women, often seen as reactive, rarely receive admiration for their restraint. Stoicism teaches tranquillitas animi, tranquility of mind. When you highlight her ability to hold chaos without crumbling, you align with Marcus Aurelius' belief. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. You're not applauding her mask, you're honoring her mastery. You don't have to romanticizing her struggles. You will appreciate her decision-making capability and endurance. And it is sexy. And no one else doing it. The anchoring heuristic biases us to cling to steady individuals during turmoil, associating them with safety. Stoics called this eustatheia, stability of character. By valuing her equilibrium, you reflect a mind untamed by external frenzy, making her feel recognized in a culture that glorifies drama. Picture a lantern in a hurricane. It doesn't rage against the wind. It burns quietly, refusing to let the dark win. She's that flame. You're the one who notices the light. Compliment 3. I like how you carry yourself. Do you know why mountains outlive storms? Most people mistake volume for power, loudness for grit, but real strength is quieter. It's in the way she holds her ground without flinching, how she bends but doesn't break. This compliment isn't about praising her victories, it's about honoring her scars. A 2019 Stanford study found that individuals who display resilience, calm persistence through adversity, are subconsciously perceived as 68% more reliable in relationships. Women, often judged for expressing vulnerability, rarely hear admiration for their endurance. Stoicism teaches virtues, courage rooted not in aggression, but in steadfastness. When you acknowledge her resilience, you align with this ancient truth. Strength is measured by what we carry, not conquer. How to use it? Wait for a moment where she reveals a struggle, not a triumph. I used to work 3 jobs to put myself through school. It was exhausting. You, nod slowly, voice low. Most people would have quit. What kept you standing? You're not idolizing her pain, you're recognizing the choice to persist. Most men see resilience as a result. You're spotlighting the act of enduring. Humans bond over shared vulnerability, but they admire silent fortitude. The halo effect biases us to attribute other virtues, loyalty, wisdom, to those who display grit. Stoics called this constantia, a resolve unshaken by external chaos. By valuing her endurance, you mirror this discipline, making her feel seen in a realm beyond fleeting emotions. Think of an oak in a hurricane. Its power isn't in resisting the wind, but in knowing how to sway without snapping. She's that oak. You're the one who notices the roots, not just the leaves. Say this once, let it sink into her like rain into drought. She'll replay it later, tracing the edges of your words and find you there. A man who doesn't confuse noise for depth. You've shown her the ultimate respect. You admire her battles, not just her trophies. 4. I like the way you argue. Most people just wait for their turn to talk, but you actually listen. You take in what's being said, break it apart, and push back with thought instead of noise. You don't argue for the sake of winning, you argue to understand. This compliment isn't about agreeing or disagreeing, it's about respecting how you think. 3 things happen when you give her this compliment. Firstly, when you say, I like the way you argue, you confirm that you acknowledge that she was truly listening to you. If she weren't, she wouldn't have been able to challenge you with her own perspective. Secondly, you validate her ability to think rationally. Women are mostly emotional beings, but when you admire how she processes, you make it clear. You don't just see her as someone reacting on impulse, but as someone who dissects and analyzes. That separates her from the stereotype, making her instinctively lean further into logic rather than emotion. Lastly, the moment you recognize and appreciate her rationality, she starts listening to herself more. She realizes her words are being respected, and in that moment something shifts. Emotional outbursts turn into structured thought. Impulse turns into precision, not because you told her to change, but because she suddenly wants to. Imagine fire. Most people argue like wild flames, erratic, consuming, uncontrolled. But she's a controlled burn, refining everything in its path. You're the one who sees not just the heat, but the precision of the flame. The next time she argues, she'll hear herself differently, through your eyes, and she'll find herself choosing logic over emotion, not because you asked her to, but because you made her want to. Attraction isn't built on flattery, it's built on distinction. We've covered 4 powerful compliments that separate you from the masses. First, we learned that silence is a sign of depth. By valuing the spaces between words, you show her you truly listen, not just wait to speak. Second, we saw that true strength isn't loud, and by recognizing her quiet endurance, you validate her resilience, not just her victories. Third, we uncovered the power of composure, how real intelligence isn't in what she knows, but in how she stays grounded. And lastly, we redefined arguments, not as battles, but as proof of thought. When you say, "I like the way you argue," you show her that she listens, thinks, and challenges, not just reacts. But for a first impression, don't just compliment her, make her engage. A compliment with a twist forces her to respond, mentally or verbally. Instead of "you're smart," try, "you think fast."
Your boyfriend must be very jealous of you. Yes, this compliments includes some fakes, because I said previously in one of my videos, women like what looks real, even just on the surface. Most of the time they don't even care about the context. And by the way, in this era most girls already have boyfriends. They just choose the best one from her friend list. So coming back to our compliment, you're saying she is beautiful by acknowledging she might have a boyfriend. Secondly, you are saying she is smarter than her imaginary boyfriend. Let me share a secret with you. It's women's loophole that she crave to hear these 2 things from men. They live for that.
Or instead of "you're beautiful," say, "you have a dangerously distracting face." This subtle push-pull dynamic sparks curiosity, makes her laugh, and, most importantly, makes her remember you. She's met 100 men who admire her. Be the one who challenges her. The target is to make her remember you, not just the first impression, but the whole life. Thanks for watching.